What's up, y'all? Just popping in for some tips or advice for young women, specifically young women that are feeling lost, just young women in general, or even older women. You may not have heard this advice before, but if you did, go ahead and just engage. If not, drop something new in the comments. Drop some advice you would give to somebody that is feeling lost on their journey or is just looking for a fresh start. These are in no particular order, but I'm just going to deliver them as they come. The first piece of advice that I would give is to always be looking to provide service. Always be service minded. Never go into the world with this selfish mindset of what can I get, what can I get, what can I get? Because what it's going to do is just limit you to only receiving. I found that in my life, the experiences that I remember the most were when I was able to actually help somebody, when I was actually able to be valuable to my community, my family, to my partner, or anybody around me. I feel the best, and it's really the way that all of us are wired. We are put here to serve a purpose greater than just what we can get, and then a purpose greater than anything on this earth. It's for God, right? So always be service minded, and it's hard to kind of shift out of that selfish mindset, I would call it, with the, thinking about what can you get, what is this going to do for me, what can you do for me. It's going to be hard to shift out of that, especially with the way society is made. Like, we are programmed to consume, and only consume things that are going to bring us closer to where we want to go, versus thinking about what can we actually bring to the marketplace that's going to help us easily be able to receive the things that we desire, because that's how life should be. That's what God created the earth to be, not for us to be out here consuming. We're supposed to have dominion over all these things that we literally running ourselves and working ourselves to death for. So number one tip would be to have a service mind. Number two is to know your purpose. You will hit your head on so many walls until you are clear on what it is that you're supposed to be doing in the earth. A tip I can give for just finding your purpose is to think about, I don't want to say think about something that upsets you, but your purpose is usually somewhere around somewhere around those things that upset you and the things that you're naturally good at. And it might seem like an oversimplification, but I promise you, your purpose is that simple. And a lot of the time, I know for me personally, it took me a long time to realize what my purpose was, because I was looking for this grandiose business plan, business scheme, and I wanted to be able to put it into like this perfect elevator pitch. And I can now, but I missed it so many times because that's what I was looking for when I was just getting down to the basis of it. It didn't look like something that I could go and make a Shopify site on and, just make this whole website and launch an entrepreneurial career off. So a lot of the times we miss what our purpose is because we're looking for it to come in the way that we've seen, which is bringing me to my next point, is going to be comparison. But let's just stay where we at right now. Y'all know I got a habit for going off the wall. But know your purpose. Like I said, I'm not going to say you won't make progress until you know it, but it's going to make a world of a difference in the way that you show up with everything that you do and with the way you present yourself. And then even wanting to be, to have that service mind that I just spoke of, is going to be a lot easier for you to show up for something that you were created to do and not worry about what it is you're getting out of it if you know it's your purpose. That's like, if you are truly, how people get paid for doing something that they truly love, they wouldn't mind if they didn't get paid. So that's going to be the difference between knowing your purpose and not knowing it. And then again, it's just going to bring so much more value to your life, make you so much more passionate. Knowing your purpose is going to pretty much like guide you in everything that you do, because it's going to be bigger than, this is my purpose. I'm here to make money. This is my business. This is why I exist. This is what the gifts that I have been blessed with are for. So knowing your purpose and getting to know your purpose is really, really important. And I say it's going to bring me to the next one point, but just to get into a point that I'm going to get into later, is going to be having a relationship with God. And that's going to be a way for you to get to know your purpose. But let's go into this next point that I said I was going to touch on: comparison. When it came time for me to know and to really iron out what my purpose was and to be clear about it and to own it, I kept on looking to the left and the right like, I can't turn this into a business. I don't know how to make a YouTube video about this and perfectly explain it. What am I going to do with this? Because I was so used to seeing not only what the world constructed, your purpose as being, or like what purposeful people show up like, or what they do, but I was looking at other people around me as well. So it's so many barriers that we have to learn to, I don't want to say overcome, but we have to get our minds out of in order to start to really just own who we are, own the person who God made us to be. So comparison is the thief of joy, and it's so cliche, but it literally is. We don't even realize it, but in so many ways we are comparing ourselves not only to other people. And I said what I said about me looking at my purpose like it was nothing compared to what other people's purpose looks like. Is because we miss so much indoctrination. It goes straight over our head. We think comparison is only when we're looking at somebody next to us. But comparison is when you're comparing godliness, heaven assignments, to man's wisdom, to what man defines something as. So I'm learning now to not only make sure I stay away from what I see other people doing, but to not dumb God down. Okay, not to think of the heavenly downloads that I get in a man's point of view. You know what I'm saying? Like that's comparison as well. I wish I could put it into better words, but for lack of better words, it's like turning the heavens into the earth. It's taking heaven's idea and turning it into trying to make it earthly. I'm done with that. I'm done with trying to compare what God said to me and bring it down to an earthly level. That's another way of comparison I wanted to touch on, because that's really the one that's that's gonna hold you back the most. So into my next point that I also said I wanted to get into was having that relationship with the Most High. I say these are not in any particular order, but this is the basis for all of the tips that I'm going to give today. And pretty much everything that you will ever be, everything that I ever talk about, the Father. He is the beginning and the end. In him, there is no beginning and no end. He always, just always, never ending, right? So that relationship is going to be important, especially if you feel lost. You should not feel lost. I'm not saying it's not normal, because like I said, the indoctrination and all of the distractions and the comparisons and just society's constructs that we get into, y'all, they help us walk further and further away. When you look back over time and you look back over, like centuries, you see humans going further and further away from God. So it's no surprise that we all feel lost, but the relationship, restoring that relationship, is going to be the basis for you getting back to who you were put here to be. It's going to be the basis for you being able to do anything on earth, because this is his, it's not his domain like God, y'all get what I'm saying? Like, y'all know who rules this fleshly part, but what I'm saying is he created this for our dominion, right? So in order for you to own anything here, for you to be successful in anything here, and to be able to bring divinity into your experience, you need to be connected to divinity. It's like a light switch. You see, like that light switch right there, that's a light switch. But if it's not wired properly, when I go right there and click it, the light's not going to come on. That's what we look like trying to bring heavenly blessings into manifestation without actually being connected. So you can't bring that light into the room. You can't bring light into your situation, to your life, unless you connected to the source. That's that. All right. Let's get into the next one, because I feel it. I feel it. The next tip is to This is particularly for my young women again. Do not let your emotions make simple things difficult. Now, we are women. We are wired this way, and it is all for a purpose. But we must learn to, I don't want to say control, because then we getting into that other stuff. But you want to make sure that you you are not ran by your emotions. Your emotions don't control your view of reality. You don't want to be so endowed with what you feel that you think that it's the only way. You think that you're always right. You don't want to let your emotions cloud your decisions. You want to be intuitive. You want to be connected to God to where you can hear and feel him, but you don't want your emotions to become your God. You don't want to get into, I'll just say idolatry with your emotions, thinking that because you feel something, it's the only way that it's right. So keep your emotions in check and really get into some books and stuff about emotional management. If you have had like traumatic childhood experiences, there are plenty of books that can help you with that. Get a library card. Y'all know I always talk about getting a library card. Get a library card and check out some books. Get you a Kindle. Just check out some videos, and there's plenty of free resources that can help you with this. But what you pretty much want to do is make sure that you are emotionally stable, so that when it comes time for you to be walking in that purpose and be acting on what the Father is telling you, you don't have these thoughts in the back of your head about yourself and about other people that prevent you from being able to experience love, because that's all God is, and that's all he wants to bring to the world through you. Love. And having emotional baggage and having emotional confusion will stop you from literally being able to do so, right? So you don't want to be walking around with a hard heart. You don't want to be walking around with an attitude. You don't want to be walking around feeling like the world owes you something, or with this chip on your shoulder, because no. We just don't want that, right? We just don't want that. And then also keep in mind that as women, I've seen this a lot recently, and this has always been a little stigma around women. We just always viewed as extra emotional and weak because of our emotions. It's kind of been turned into, and honestly, as women, we do weaponize our emotions a lot of the time. You don't want to be so, you don't want to be that woman. You don't want to be that woman. This is why self-awareness is important. And like I said, working through these emotions and recognizing that, okay, I am a woman and I do have a lot of emotions. I am very sensitive. Recognizing that and not only doing something about it, but owning it is going to give you power over these emotions and allow you to actually use them for what you should be using them for, and not to weaponize them, use them against people, to be manipulative, or to use it as a way to like get your way in situations and stuff. Just realize that it's a blessing and not a curse, and don't use them to curse people. Don't use them to curse yourself, because anything that you do to somebody is going to come back to you. So get those emotions in check. All right. The next thing I want to do, and this is my last one, y'all. Next thing I want to do. The next tip is to never stop seeking or creating. Y'all ever see like a video about anything? I always see this. Like, I watch a lot of videos about everything I want to learn, right? And I always see people, they always say, be patient. I say be patient. I'm learning to actually be patient, because now I'm at a point in my life. I'm only 26, but I'm at a point in my life, and I'm just realizing this right here in the video, but I am at this point in my life, But I'm at a point in my life where I realize that everything is a process, and I can't rush it. I can't rush it, and my timeline is not God's timeline. So never stop seeking and creating, because you never know when something is going to come to you. But one thing that you do know, if you stop looking, it's never going to come. If you stop creating, it's never going to come. The thing that I said, I just realized right now in this moment, is that I've been on this journey with pretty much, I don't want to say feeling lost, but finding my creativity and literally finding out who I am and asking questions and knocking and knowing that it was something more for me my entire life. Almost, I would say, since I was about like 8 years old. 8 years old, I was making YouTube videos. I'm on the internet. I'm looking up this. I'm looking up that. I've always been a deep researcher, an avid researcher. I just always sought knowledge, and it's only now that I'm 26. I had it before when I was about 19, 20. Ran off the wall, went out there, got pregnant, and I'm finally back at 26. That is loads of time. But I never stopped seeking, and I never stopped creating. And if I had, I wouldn't be here to be able to give out any piece of advice. Who knows what I would be? And I'm saying that, but I don't even know if I would have, like, who knows what was on each path. But what I do know is, if I hadn't kept seeking, kept creating, kept seeking and trying to figure out why and what and who, then I wouldn't be here. And you should never stop seeking and creating, because, like I said, the only guarantee that we have in life is change. And if you are not changing, that means you are not acting. That means it's something that you're not doing. It's a stagnancy. So you don't want to get to a point where you're stagnant with anything when it comes to constantly developing. And then remember that it's nothing that you can do. It's all on his time. That's why not stopping. That's why, making sure you don't stop is important, because you might think it's not going anywhere. But if it's not working for you, that means it's working on you. In the words of Myron Golden, don't stop just because you can't see where it's going. It ain't for you to see. Again, y'all, we living for him, his purpose. He's living and doing what he needs to do in the earth through you. So remember, don't take the man's wisdom and try to understand heavenly purposes. His thoughts are above yours. What he sees is above you. So don't write it off as something that's not working because you don't understand it and you can't see in this physical world how it's going to correlate to what your idea of success or what your idea of progress looks like. Never stop. Ever stop. That's what you was put here to do, and you need to be doing that until your last breath, all right? I do have one more little tip. It's a little bonus tip. It's just a little bonus tip. Live according to that little voice inside your head. And I don't want to say that little voice inside your head because, baby, and this is going to come with, like I said, having that relationship. That's God. Follow his voice. Follow his voice. But like I said, this is going to come with that relationship. This is why that relationship is important, y'all. I'm telling you, it's the basis of your life. It's the lifeline. It's the lifeline. Whatever that thing called when you go in the hospital with the little thing, that's him. That's how you need to think of him, his voice, that wisdom, getting in that word, just walking with him, honoring him, serving him, pleasing him. That's the lifeline. That's the voice. That's the only thing you need to be. That's your Instagram. That's your social media. That's your business plan. Okay, that's your morning routine. That's your gym routine. That's everything you need. The only thing you need. The only thing that you really have. That's my tips, y'all. I'm about to get in here, lay it down for the night. Thank y'all for watching. Be blessed.